Let's talk about collagen. So collagen is the one ingredient in Tchê that I probably struggled the most with. As I mentioned in other videos, it was really important to us that whatever we put in Tchê is going to have some kind of clinical value, something that's been studied, something that's been, looked at in other patients, and certainly something that's been vetted through the scientific process. Ideally, something that's been, had peer-reviewed research done on it. So collagen was a little bit, it's very popular. A lot of people take collagen, but I struggled with it a little bit, and I'll tell you why. Collagen is a very large protein. It's found in red meat, it's found in bone broth, it's found in all sorts of things. Now, no doubt collagen is important in your own body. Collagen is what gives your skin elasticity. It prevents wrinkles. It gives it hydration. It's super important. Collagen is one of the most important proteins, but I wasn't convinced that by taking collagen, it would somehow contribute to your skin's elasticity or hydration or prevent wrinkles. For one reason, collagen is a protein. You take a protein and the enzymes in your GI tract will break it down into amino acids, and your body will treat it like a piece of steak. And there's no reason to believe that by eating a piece of steak, your body is going to use those molecules to, build a muscle cell or something like that. Your body will basically take everything you eat, break it down into its basic components, and then send it wherever it needs to be sent. So by taking collagen, I wasn't convinced that it would end up in your skin somehow. It might end up in your liver. It might end up in your toe because you're, healing a scratch or something like that. So that was kind of my big issue with it. I did some more research, and here's the thing that kind of made me pause. There was a pretty good study done in Korea in 2018. It was a double-blind placebo study. Now that is a big deal. Any kind of double-blind study means that those who are administering the drug or whatever's of interest and those receiving that thing don't know which is real and which is placebo. So they took a group of patients and they randomized them. Half of them received 1,000 milligrams of collagen, low molecular weight collagen, and half of them received placebo, just white powder. Collagen in its most processed form doesn't have a taste. It just looks like white powder. And then they followed them, up until 12 weeks. So they gave half the patients collagen, half of them got nothing. And then they compared 3 important metrics at the 6-week mark and then the 12-week mark. The 3 things they looked at were hydration of the skin, and they have kind of validated models and ways of assessing hydration of the skin. So they looked at skin hydration, they looked at presence or absence of wrinkles, and then they looked at elasticity, all of these with validated models. And I was kind of surprised. This double-blinded placebo study demonstrated that there was a significant difference at the end of 12 weeks in both elasticity, in wrinkle reduction, and in hydration. And, I have a link to the paper. You can look at it yourself. I was kind of blown away that it would have this effect. So I did some more research to kind of understand why that would happen. A really smart study came out of Tokyo University, also in about 2018. I have a link to that study too. They asked that question. Okay, if collagen, a lot of people are taking collagen. Collagen's a protein. Why is it that people think it's going to end up benefiting your skin if it gets broken down into its constituent protein molecules, amino acids? Why would that happen? They had kind of the same question I had. And so they took a rat model. So in science, everything is kind of based on models. They take animals that are similar enough to humans, that have similar digestion, metabolism, those kinds of things, and then they are able to conduct, research and study them. And they fed these rats collagen, and then they took samples from the GI tract of the rats, and they wanted to know, they took samples from the blood circulating in the GI tract of the rats to see if collagen was actually being absorbed as collagen or as something else. Now, the theory, what everyone expected to happen was that collagen would be absorbed as small pieces of protein that probably won't end up in your skin and therefore probably won't have any significant benefit. But what they found was surprising. Most people expected you to have these links of proteins called, dipeptides and tripeptides. Those are like doublets and triplets of protein molecules of amino acids, which would, again, not be thought to have a benefit in your skin. What they found was they had large conglomerates of long chain peptides that were more similar to collagen than we thought they would be. So basically speaking, there's a mechanistic explanation for why supplementing with collagen could actually result in better skin. And, those things together. So there's an explanation that to me is a viable explanation. It makes sense. It was validated by what I think was a smart study. And then we have this clinical, outcome. So the people at Tokyo University explained how, yes, collagen could in theory be absorbed in enough of its native form that it could have an effect on your skin. And then we have the double-blind study that was done in Korea that said, okay, look, forget about the mechanism of action, forget about how it's working. Let's just see if it does anything. They gave half of the people collagen, half of the people nothing, and there was actually a clinical benefit. So to me, there are enough people out there saying, like, I take collagen every day and I feel great. My skin looks better. It has more elasticity, more hydration. Super important, by the way, for your immune system. You should have good, healthy, functioning skin. It's important to your overall health. It's not just about cosmetics. It's not just about aesthetics. It's important to have normal, healthy skin to protect you from the sun and a number of other things. So it's important. So, there were a number of people taking this, they've been taking it for a long time, saying I'm having great benefits, but now at least I can point to 2 good studies showing that, hey, this is plausible and there's an effect that we can see and measure in a double-blind study. So again, links to both of those articles are in the description. You can look at them, you can read them. We put a whopping dose of collagen in every serving of Tchê. And after convincing myself with these 2 studies, I wanted to, number one, make sure that there was the right amount of collagen. Lots of supplements include collagen, a little bit of collagen. In the studies that were done, they gave people 1,000 milligrams and saw a clinical benefit. In the study that I cited, we put 1,500 milligrams in each serving. So you get a big dose of collagen with each serving of Tchê.